This is On the Pony Express after Stangs postgame show.
Tune in after each SMU game for reaction, exclusive interviews, and more.
Check out all our SMU coverage you need at ontheponyexpress.com.
A part of the On3 network.
Now, your host, Billy Embody.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the After Stangs Show. I am Billy Embody, live at Shug's Bagels in Mockingbird Plaza, recapping SMU's 59-14 win over Navy, a ticket punch to the AAC Championship game against Tulane. With me to kick off the show, SMU linebacker Ahmad Walker. Ahmad, thanks for joining us, man.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
It was a dominating performance for you guys. What was the mentality like going into this one after an emotional win on the road against Memphis that, you know, kind of was viewed as almost like a play-in game a week ago?
Well, you know, we just had to hit the reset button, just go back to how we do day one things. We just had to go out there and do our job and everything. You know, this week was just about going out there, doing our job and playing disciplined football.
And you have come into this SMU defense and been a part of what has been an incredible turnaround. I know you weren't here last year. Things were very different. This was a team that had to score tons of points to keep up with opposing teams. What has been that change in mentality, though? What has been the mentality of this defense from the moment a lot of you guys got here in the spring to now?
I think it's just a lot of guys want to, a lot of guys want to get to the ball. A lot of guys want to play with effort. So, I feel like it's just a lot of want to on this defense and everything because, all the guys want to play. Everybody wants to get on the tackle. So, it's just a lot of want on this defense.
What was reuniting with Coach Simons, Coach Messer, Coach Hunley? What was that like in the process for you?
It felt like home. Those are the guys that, originally recruited me at Liberty, gave me the chance to that really count on me to come in and make plays in college football. So, it just felt like coming back home.
What are the key components of this defense that have made it so successful from your vantage point this year?
I feel like everybody just running to the ball. And, we always preach effort, just getting to the ball. Whenever you got 11 guys trying to run to the ball, that's a great thing because, we might have a missed tackle or anything, but, you got guys right there that's coming in to make the tackle.
And for you guys this year, you guys were kind of like a buzzsaw early on in conference play. You guys ran into some tougher offenses as things went on. How did you guys kind of reset for this Navy game, just because it is such a different, attack that you're facing?
It's just always about us. That's what we always preach. It's always about us. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. We got to go out there and play Mustang football. So, that's what we did today.
Yeah, let's talk about that game a little bit. 14 points. I think kind of looked up about halfway through the second quarter. I know you don't have the stats on the sideline there, but yeah, I think it was 18 total yards. Did it surpass expectations?
Yeah, it was,
meet expectations?
Yeah, it was actually, I know it was coach came in and told us it was like 15 yards before they popped that one run. Yeah. So that's just good football right there. Playing the option team offense. They want to run the ball. It was just pivotal. We came out there and stopped the run.
You guys see Preston go down. What's that like? I mean, what's the emotions of kind of seeing that happen like?
I just feel for him. I know what it's like to be injured. He just got to keep his head up and keep working and get healthy. I feel for my guy Preston. Sorry that happened.
Yeah. You guys might have to end up playing with Kevin. What do you know about him? I know you've only been around him a year. What have you kind of seen from him and observed from him?
I don't think it's going to be no drop-off in the offense. Kev's, he's a great quarterback. He can sling the ball. He can run. He can do stuff with his feet. So, I think we'll be okay.
What are the emotions like to get to a championship game like you guys are going to play now?
It's going to be a lot of emotions on the sideline and everything. But, we just got to remain humble, keep playing Mustang football.
As you've adjusted to this defense, who are some of the guys that you've gotten close with and kind of helped kind of form some bonds with this year?
Definitely the guys in the linebacker room. Those are my guys. Chris Adamore, Jaquanis Burns, Kobe Wilson, Kilgore, everybody, all them, those are my guys. I love being around them, love playing with them. I just love everything about them.
What is that like with Coach Crum in the room? Because, Coach Simons, obviously you knew him a lot. Same with Coach Hunley and guys like that. But you knew the defense better than Coach Crum did
Yeah.
going into this year.
Yes, sir. Coach Crum, we got to meet the standard. Whatever the standard is, that's what we got to meet. So, he's preaching that to us every day. It doesn't matter who's on the field. The standard's the standard. That's what he always tells us. So, who's ever out there, you got to meet the standard.
What's he like as a coach?
Coach Crum, he's a great coach. He's gonna be on you a lot. He's gonna coach you hard, but he's also gonna love on you. He's gonna crack jokes with you and everything. He's a great coach, great guy. You
have a room that will lose Chris Adamora. You've got young talent like Alex Kilgore, Brandon Maiazono. You've got Jaquandis Burns in there. You got a bunch of guys.
Yes, sir.
What's it like that pretty much all you guys are going to be back next year?
Just got to take the next step. Keep taking each step every year. So, it's just going to be a lot of fun, play with those guys again, continue to bond with them and everything. I'm just ready.
Have you watched much of Tulane this year? Did you watch yesterday?
I actually didn't. I was just trying to focus on our game, because regardless, it was still about us, no matter who it was that we had to play. So, I just tried to focus on us and focus on Navy at the time.
Who's a guy that this year has been somebody that maybe has surprised you a little bit on that defense in terms of how they've stepped up?
Definitely like some of the guys in the safety group. Isaiah, he's a young guy back there. He comes downhill, makes tackles also, as well as Ahmad Moses. He stands out to me because he's a young guy back there too. It's not easy playing safety, coming down, filling that hole. So, they got a great upside to them.
You come from the state of Georgia, where you played for one of the programs in
Yes,
the state
sir.
of Georgia. First of all, are you keeping track of the high school playoffs going back?
Yeah, I did. They came up short last night, but that's okay though. Them guys are gonna bounce back every year like we do. But yeah, I feel like that really shaped me into the player that I am. Just playing tough, hard-nosed football in Georgia.
Yeah, Warner Robins High School though. For
Yes,
you guys
sir.
out there listening, how do you take some of that championship mentality that you learned in high school and apply it to this situation now? Is there anything that you can, and other guys that have been on winning teams that have gone up and gotten across the finish line, kind of impact on these guys?
Just being a leader and, always uplifting guys and everything, whenever you got leaders on the field, besides the coaches, you got a great program and a great team because you got guys that can say things to each other and nobody's like getting mad about it, getting upset. It's just, okay, I got you, and we keep it pushing.
You guys have brought in a lot of veterans for this season, especially on defense. Jonathan McGill, Chris Megginson, Charles Woods, Jordan Miller. I mean, just the list kind of goes on. What have you guys felt like this has been this kind of special run for those types of guys that have been around college football a while like yourself and just haven't broken through?
Whenever you get a lot of guys that's played a lot of football together, you're going to have a great bond. You're going to have a great team. So, it's going to hurt seeing those guys leave next year, no cap. But yeah, it's just having those veterans back there, especially in the back end, just makes it a lot easier for us in the front end.
I forgot who we interviewed this week leading up to this game. I think Tyler, but it's hard to keep your mind present and not look ahead.
Yes, sir.
Now that you guys have gotten through conference play undefeated, now you go play Tulane. You have one game, one focus, and then you can let the rest, be figured out in terms of a bowl game. How did you guys accomplish that throughout the season? Now that you can look back.
We set a destination at the beginning of the season, and we just kept working towards. We didn't talk about it, we didn't speak on it. We knew where we wanted to get to, so it was just about taking it one game at a time.
Is it more fun to maybe go on the road in a true road environment and at least take the shot?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun going on the road because it's you and the guy next to you, the guys next to you. So it's just a lot of fun going in there. Everybody against you, and then you come out with a win. Just a great feeling.
There's not much you can take schematically this game in terms of what you're going to see next week. But what are some of the things overall that you can take away from this game? Or what maybe stood out to you from your vantage point?
Playing disciplined football. We can take that in the next week. Every team needs to be playing disciplined football, and that's what we did today.
For you guys to get it done, there are a lot of questions maybe on who's going to be taking the ball next week at quarterback for this team. Is that an opportunity for this defense to make just another statement and say, hey, we've done this, now it's our turn to kind of step back up again?
Most definitely. I feel like we got to go out there and make a statement every week. You know, the offense, they depend on us. We depend on the offense. That's just how it works. So, you know, if offense doesn't score, then, you know, we lose the game. But if we let them score, we're going to lose the game. So, you know, it's just back and forth between us.
In about a week from Monday, December 4th, will come. The transfer portal will open. SMU is going to go after more guys to obviously make the move to the ACC with. First of all, what are you excited about with the ACC? If I can, you know, if you can look ahead for a little bit.
I mean, just a little background story. You know, coming out of high school, I didn't have any P5 offers or anything. So, you know, it feels very personal to me. You know, I just want to thank the man above because, you know, I really bet on myself, came here to SMU, and, you know, we ended up joining the ACC. You know, I can't be more grateful for that. I'm just very thankful. So I'm just ready to get to work, finish this season out first.
Appreciate Pony Sports DTX for stepping up and helping you get here with me, sitting right here. December 4th, we are going to have a kickoff event for the transfer portal, so check that out at ontheponyexpress.com. It'll be at Azona's, 6 to 8 p.m. if you want to learn more about Pony Sports DTX. What does an organization like that do for a program when they can go out and support you guys?
I mean, it does a lot, you know, the Boulevard, you know, Pony Sports, everything, you know, they're behind SMU 100%, 1,000%, matter of fact. You know, they'll do whatever to, you know, bring the guys in and everything. You know, it's just great just knowing that you got people like that just supporting you and ready to just do anything they can for you.
Well, a lot of people are ready to support you guys on Saturday as you guys take on Tulane, 3:00 on ABC for the AAC Championship game. Any closing thoughts that you guys are now finally here and have made it?
We just got to keep doing this, play Mustang football.
Yep, there he is. Ahmad Walker, thanks for joining the On the Pony Express podcast. We appreciate you. We are going to be back in just a second. We'll get Ahmad out of here. We will let you guys listen to what Rhett Lashley had to say on Preston Stone's injury and kind of where things stand here early. Not much of an update, but a little bit of notes from Rhett Lashley now on Preston Stone, who left the game in the first half.
There's a chance, you know, I mean, obviously he was in a lot of pain. It's his ankle. So, you know, is it a sprain? Is it a broken ankle? We're not sure yet. Sometimes those things you got to take not only x-rays, which we don't have MRIs at this building and all that. So, you know, he was in the locker room celebrating with the team in good spirits. You know, wasn't in any pain right then. So there's a chance, you know, obviously it's never good when your quarterback has to ride off into the locker room, but we'll know more probably by tomorrow.
There we are, Ahmad Walker out the door to enjoy the rest of his Saturday, and SMU getting it done on the field today. But look, guys, a lot of this show, I'm sure, is going to be about Preston Stone and kind of where things stand. Kevin Jennings did come into the game, and we know Kevin and what he's able to do. Won a state championship at South Oak Cliff, brought them really back to being one of those elite power programs in the state of Texas from the high school ranks. And now he's probably going to get the ball against Tulane in that AAC championship game. And, you know, I think this game, there was nothing that SMU could do in terms of getting him more action or experience to help him play against Tulane. So they took him out. He completed 2 of 4 passes for 26 yards. I believe he did finish off that drive that Preston Stone got hurt on with Tyler Levine running it in for another touchdown. But there was just nothing the staff could do, really. He has gone in at key moments in the past, played against Memphis last year, led a 90-yard touchdown drive at the end of the first half. He has gone in against Tulsa and led SMU last year to a win. He's gotten enough experience where you've got to feel good about where things stand, and you could not get him hurt. And he has a lot of talent. So it makes a lot of sense that he could get a few snaps and then get him out of there and let Alex Padilla and Keldrick Luster finish things off in the second half.
Did Preston's injury impact the plays that you and Coach Woods called?
Absolutely.
The way you used Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. You even had to pull one zone read, and you're like screaming, get down. Just because you don't know. And, you know, now once you get to that point, you're one more play away from it getting real thin. And so he was going to start the second half. They took the long drive, and then we picked it and ran back for a touchdown. So by the time we got the ball, half the quarter was gone, and we're up now more. And it just didn't make any sense. So we were able to get Alex and Keldrick in there, and we were doing our best we could to get out of there without any more injuries or anything like that.
Yeah, so SMU is going to face Tulane with Kevin Jennings potentially, Preston Stone potentially. This is going to be a fun matchup, though. SMU went on the road last year and got beat pretty good by Tulane. Now they're going back to New Orleans looking to win a conference championship, a very different football team that SMU is bringing in to this game. And we know that from the course of this season. Not only now will we have to watch the quarterback situation play out, which at this point I would expect Kevin Jennings to play, but you do have a defense that is ranked among the college football's best this season. They were able to once again make a statement, basically playing the entire second half with backups in, gave up 253 yards of total offense in the first half. And this is where you kind of get into advanced analytics. The first half, 139 total yards, first quarter, 23 total yards. So a good showing for SMU. They shut them out in the second half defensively. It was a nice finish to the regular season in which they played so well. And Ahmad Moses had a terrific run against Navy. He had 9 tackles. Felt like he had a lot more. But this was a game that just fit him overall as SMU rolled him out there for plenty of snaps.
Ahmad can really run and hit. And this game fit his skill set really well. Coach Simons did a good job of the positions he put the safeties in, McGill and Isaiah on the wings, and Ahmad playing that option is the deep safety, but in that it's really zero, and he's running sideline to sideline with the option. And he's the guy who's got to go take the pitch every time, and that just fits his game because he's downhill, he can run, and he can tackle. And to your point, he only had 9 tackles, which is shocking to me, but I bet there's a bunch of times he disrupted the play for the other guy to make the tackle. And so we felt like he would have to have a big game for us, and he did.
Yes, he sure did. 9 tackles on the day, 2 tackles for loss for Ahmad Moses. Let's jump into some questions here, guys. Of course, Preston Stone is the one that everybody wants to know about, but SMU did have a few other injuries. Jordan Miller was helped off the field. He's going to be fine from what we've heard already. You do have Alex Kilgore, who got nicked up late in the game. Not really sure what he had, but he should be fine from what it sounded like. And then Braden Flowers looks like a tough injury that he got as well in that game. So, they are I know I'm on. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. So got people knocking at the window, and unfortunately can't help them. For SMU to get out of the game outside of Preston Stone relatively safe on the injury front is big. We saw the mass exodus after the Braden Flowers injury, quite honestly, as they got guys out of the game. But let's go back to the Preston Stone injury, as I'm kind of answering some questions here as we go through this now. But Preston Stone being potentially out for this game against Tulane is big news. But for SMU, they're going to be turning to Kevin Jennings if he is indeed having to take the start, which it looked a lot more serious than the concussion situation played out with Preston Stone earlier this year. A great thing is he's already prepared this season, a full week, to be a starting quarterback for SMU. And then you've got the whole fact that he's gone into pressure-filled situations and been able to step up for this team in the past, which is always a good sign. You want your backup quarterback to be able to just go into situations and be himself and move the football up and down the field. And that is what Kevin Jennings has been able to do since being at SMU. It's a little different than Preston Stone. He isn't necessarily going to run around all day back there, but he is somebody that can certainly throw a bullet of a football. His first pass on the sideline was one that stuck out in a big way just when he got in the game after Preston's injury. But he's also very calm. He doesn't say much. He's pretty quiet. If you saw our interview with him earlier this season as he was preparing to start potentially against North Texas, he was pretty quiet. And that's just kind of how he is. But he has the respect of that locker room. And Rhett Lashley said it afterwards. They feel like they have 2 starting quarterbacks, and it's true. It's a weird kind of feeling right now with how much depth SMU has at the quarterback position and talent, but they've been able to navigate it fairly well. Kevin's gotten a good number of game reps this season with some of the blowouts, and while also at the same time keeping him safe overall. Question. So from the offense, Fountain Connoisseur asks, what should we expect? I don't think it's going to be too different. What I do say is that you're going to see a little bit more potentially kind of RPO style rollouts. Kevin does a really nice job reading the end and figure out whether to give the ball on the run or keep it. But then what we've seen at times is he has the option to throw the ball down the field. And I kind of equate it to when Rhett Lashley and those Auburn teams had Nick Marshall. Nick Marshall was really, really good in that RPO kind of system for Auburn, and they were able to really use his ability to move around well and make plays. And so I think Kevin Jennings will have that as well. With LJ Johnson and Jalen Knighton, that's a question we're getting a lot as well. They were sat out and resting up. So they have had injuries throughout the season, and SMU went with Tyler Levine, who, what a special day for him to go out the way he did with 3 touchdowns on 7 carries for 49 yards. Kamar Wheaton had 11 carries, 46 yards. And you had Moochie Dixon, 4 receptions for 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. RJ Maryland, 3 receptions for 64 yards. Jordan Hudson, 2 receptions, 42 yards, and a touchdown. SMU got rolling, built a 28-0 lead. A muffed punt by SMU gave Navy their first touchdown. Navy turned around and gave SMU a special teams touchdown as well, doing basically the exact same thing. So special teams are going to have to continue to find ways to get better in a 1-week period, as SMU can't have special teams woes really hurt them at Tulane. There were 3 different guys returning punts, Roger Daniels, Jonathan McGill, who muffed the punt, and Jake Bailey. So it's something, again, they're going to have to try to put a Band-Aid on for a week and figure it out. SMU alum 11 asks, why aren't coaches telling quarterbacks to fall down or throw it away when the game is already decided? They might have. If you were at the game, which I'm not sure if you were, you would have heard over the loudspeaker that when Jonathan McGill muffed the punt, basically they had just told him to not field the ball inside the 10, and he fielded the ball inside the 10. So there's only so much coaches can say and do in certain situations. But, yeah, I mean, when you scramble around, unfortunately, like Preston Stone did, and for as long as he did, you can always open yourselves up to, more opportunities for things to go wrong. And that goes for if he was scrambling around and everything was fine, but he threw an interception or got hit from behind and fumbled the ball and he was fine. Things can happen in the course of a game and play. And when you do those types of things and just kind of get in those weird situations, sometimes that happens. When it comes to recruits, we don't have too many guys that we have confirmed that were there, quite honestly. But we'll have a list for our subscribers at ontheponyexpress.com as far as what we can assemble. I will say I saw one of them last night put on an absolute show in the Texas high school state playoffs. So the chances of winning the AAC without Preston Stone, they don't impact how, honestly, I'd pick that game. And I know that sounds weird, but Kevin Jennings has a lot of respect in this locker room. Kevin Jennings has done a lot of good things over the course of his SMU career in his limited opportunities. He has gotten experience against good teams. He's gotten experience against bad teams. He's been in different situations. And, basically, next week on the podcast might be story time about Kevin Jennings, but he is just a guy that so many coaches over the course of his career have completely left their careers up to him in a way, in terms of how can he produce? How can he help this team? Just give Kevin the ball and get out of the way. And that's something that stands out. So we'll talk a lot more about him as we get maybe a finalized word on Preston's status this week on the podcast. But love that you enjoyed Shug's. It is an awesome place. They do open at 6 p.m. for after-hours service. The staff is in here getting ready right now. It is in Mockingbird Plaza. Not only do they have bagels with all sorts of combinations that you can do, they have great rolls and sandwiches. The chicken cutlets here are awesome. The pizza sandwich, I think, is one of them as well. All really good stuff here at Shug's Bagels in Mockingbird Plaza. They also just opened a location on Lemon at the old Great American Hero sandwich shop. So Ponyfan 81, we covered pretty much the other injuries. Marcus Bryant was out with a concussion this week. That's why PJ Williams got the start at left tackle. And Marcus Bryant is expected to play against Tulane. He'll be back from that concussion protocol from what we hear. Hiron White, it's not looking as good. He's got his arm has been in a sling the last 2 weeks, so we'll see. But he has not been able to play. SoCal Pony. During the Tulane UTSA game, the announcers kept mentioning the absence of two of Tulane's top receivers as justification for Pratt's poor performance. He only threw for 125 yards, and he had the status for those receivers next week. One of them was warming up in the game. Pregame, and they ended up not using him at all. So I forget which one. I'm going to try to Google it right now. But then the other one, Lawrence, and it might have been Lawrence Keys that was warming up, but I can't find it right now. But the one of them is going to be back, and then the other one is not expected back, from what I understand. So I'm going to try to get their names and see if it jogs my memory right now. Kind of like the team. I've been focused on Navy and getting ready for the transfer portal season and all of that. Let's see. I think Lawrence Keys is the one that was warming up, and Chris Brazel played as well. I saw somebody tag me in a highlight of one of his trainers. So let's see if Lawrence Keys pops up and gives us something. Lawrence Keys is out, and that might be the one that he's out for a while. Jaquan Jackson with the ankle is one that one-time SMU commit, by the way, might be able to go. I think he might have been the one warming up. So anyway, we'll try to get to that this week, guys, as SMU will face Tulane. We'll talk a lot more Tulane on the podcast later this week for sure. So be sure to subscribe to ontheponyexpress.com. 50% off annual subscriptions right now to celebrate the AAC Championship game berth. Or you can always subscribe for just $1 for your first 2 months using code SMU1. That is SMU, the number 1 in the code. So subscribe. We'll have injury updates. We'll have recruiting updates. Transfer portal starting to heat up. Coaching changes are happening. So that'll allow guys to enter the portal. So maybe some early guys that can get talked to by SMU as well before the December 4th transfer portal window officially opening, which, by the way, we are doing that kickoff party December 4th, 6 to 8, in conjunction with Pony Sports DTX from 6 to 8 at Ozona's Barn Grill right next to SMU. So come by. We'll have some special guests. We'll do some interviews. We'll talk about NIL and the transfer portal and what it means. So bring your friends if you're not subscribed to On the Pony Express. Bring your friends if they're not donating to Pony Sports GTX, and let them learn more. Couchum, given Stone's injury rate, is there a possibility we don't want him back next year and move on? No. STL Pony, was the mood down for the team after the game, or are they going to be able to celebrate this great milestone? This is an interesting question because, and Rhett Lashley, he had a good quote about this as well. He said that this team really hasn't honed in on a lot of that throughout the course of the year. They are focused day in, day out on what they can do to accomplish their goal that week, which is cliche, but go 1-0, because you can't have big games if you don't go 1-0 each week. So he had a really good quote, I felt like, in terms of addressing what kind of history SMU is making and if they have really talked about it with their players.
A little bit, probably not to the extent that they will be. I mean, we've talked about it at times this year when we've done things that haven't been done in a long time. Usually when we celebrate and look back, hey, this was done, cool, but try to keep them present, keep them in the moment, which they've done as good a job as any team I've ever been around doing that week to week this year. And so, and like we talked about in the locker room, step one of the goals accomplished, we made it there. I've used the analogy, we made it to the final group of Sunday at Augusta, and now we got to see how we can play on Sunday. But the job's not finished yet.
No, it's not. Got to go on the road to Tulane and beat a Tulane team that just beat UTSA on Friday. They won 29-16. They get to host. They're 11-1 on the season, and of course SMU will have their hands full. I mean, this is a Tulane team that has kind of battled through. Losing Tyjae Spears, their star running back off last season's roster and just kind of keep chugging with an offense that is good, kind of, just gets the job done. That's a thing about Tulane, kind of an early look here, but they just get it done. And that is, really the interesting piece of all of that in terms of kind of evaluating them. So the team celebrated. I could hear them as we were sitting in the post-game press conference room waiting. They were having a good time. And I even saw, some of the veterans, which, you might expect some of them to really be bittersweet about it. But I mean, Ahmad Walker, great guy, was in here feeling pretty good. I saw Tyler Levine after the game. He was feeling pretty good. All those things. So they're enjoying it. But I think when you win by this margin, like I went down to the field. I normally don't go down to the field kind of that early, but I was down there for the last couple minutes of the game. And I was expecting this kind of big, all right, we did it, going to the championship game. No, it was just game over, shake hands, go to the Navy fight song, and then head over for SMU alma mater, and then, move on and go to the locker room. People were happy and people were celebrating, but this team just kind of, when you have a whole half to digest that you are going, it does kind of subdue it a little bit, but I don't think it was the injury. Let's see. Old Lax guy, what do I think the keys are for next week? I mean, special teams has to find a way to improve. It is definitely something that it is kind of hanging over. That's number one. Number two is start fast, and it's something where SMU has done a really good job of, and they've found ways throughout this season, in particular against conference opponents, to jump all over them early for the most part. And setting yourself up on the road with a kind of jump started, up 14 or, kind of race out to 10-0 lead, things like that. It just sets you up to really have a chance to do it and get it done. And so starting fast is really going to be important. And a turnover, SMU's done a great job forcing turnovers. That's going to be important. Winning the turnover battle is key as well. So I know those are all the cliches, but those are the keys for this week. Let's see. We are rolling through a lot of discussion around Preston Stone and his future now. All right. Beacon's Pony, does Tulane game plan differently with Kevin Henry Jennings at the helm? I don't think so. I think, if anything, there's probably a little less of hey, he's going to run around and do some of the things that, I mean, for example, when Preston got hurt, Kevin doesn't do that as much. So yeah, I don't think they changed the game plan too much. Who or what was the biggest surprise of the game? Shout out Jackson Lavender, had his first career reception as a Mustang. So I just felt like this is a game that SMU tried to escape and get out of and all those things. But they were able to, kind of cruise by and just dominate. I mean, it wasn't that I didn't think SMU could dominate. I just felt like Navy would find a way to milk a little bit more clock. I mean, that first quarter, I think, was a solid 45, 50 minutes. So this was a long game. Moochie Dixon, I love that for him. I think he's a surprise of the day. Not that I'm high on Moochie overall, but I mean, he made that touchdown. That second touchdown grab was one-handed back shoulder. That was awesome. He's the first 100-yard receiver for SMU this season. Rhett Lashley joked after the game that he was a little ticked at him for getting that. Let me see if the soccer game is free to go to. Let me see. Tickets. Had a question in the chat. The men's soccer team, it's $5. It's $5. It's $5 to $8 to go if you log on to SMU right now and find those. This men's soccer team hosts Oregon State in the NCAA round of 16 Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central, at Washburn Soccer Stadium on the Hilltop. All right, so back to questions. I would say Moochie was the biggest surprise. Isaiah Wacobia continues to make plays, has a 74-yard pick six. He's just been awesome all season. Same with Ahmad Moses stepping up. That was good to see. Next question, are you hearing much on the transfer front? Yes, but can't talk about it on the pod. We'll talk about it on the Pony Express message board So subscribe today if you haven't already, which of course you have, Beacons Pony. So appreciate you, but I'm hearing a lot. And that's why you should tell your friends to subscribe to the site and tell your friends, if they're SMU fans, to donate to Pony Sports DTX. We appreciate helping out with Ahmad Walker. If SMU doesn't do a New Year's Six bowl, which in all likelihood, if they beat Tulane, they should jump up enough to do the New Year's Six bowl. What would the next best option be? I think playing like a Fenway Bowl against a like high profile opponent. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So that would be, my choice. Somewhere cool for the team to go to against a high profile opponent. FW Silver asked, looking at Kevin Jennings recruiting, he wasn't offered by many of the schools. Was he under the radar, or did the recruiting services miss on him? I mean, first of all, in terms of recruiting service misses on him, like right now, I mean, he is a backup quarterback at a soon-to-be Power 3 school. If he turns out to be this all ACC type of quarterback, then yeah, absolutely, recruiting services miss on him. If he can find a way to sniff the NFL, yeah, definitely a miss. And I said this, when SMU landed him, I told our staff at the time to go back and look at him and say, hey, man, this guy doing it at a high level at SOC, let him do a state championship. He's like the only guy they got on offense, all those things. So it's a miss, but he has not started a game yet at SMU. So like, let's not get that far. He was not offered by many schools. Missouri State was where he was committed to, and then SMU flipped him late after watching him play against Lovejoy in the state playoffs. Let's see. The real Pony Boy, the last question of the pod. Right now, we are good enough to be 4th or 5th best team in the AAC out of 17. Oh, all right. That's just a statement. That's probably pretty on point. It would all kind of be, summed up by that. They probably can be at that level overall. But we'll see. They need to address the offensive defensive lines. They'll have to bring in two corners, probably kind of address that position again. I love Jalen Davis Robinson. I think he's going to be good. They've got some other guys, but they're going to just have to keep adding talent. I mean, that's the name of the game if they want to be at that level going into the ACC in year one. So with that, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I will say this is a special senior group. A lot of them are going to move on and do great things, but one of them in particular, Tyler Levine, got Rhett Lashley to cry once again. So we've talked a little bit about Tyler and what he was able to do today, but I think this is the second, maybe third time this year that Rhett Lashley has cried about Tyler Levine. So we'll kind of end the show with that.
So well-deserved. I did it last week too. So what that kid means to this place, to this team, he's special. And, he was going to start. It was senior day. He did. He got to start, and then him and Kamar were going to get a bulk of the reps. We did potentially see a scenario where Jalen and LJ went in, so they were available. But like I said, by the time it's 21-0, we didn't have to. I thought Coach Hall did a good job of managing that. But for him to get those 3 touchdowns, Tyler way running right up the middle, it was really cool.
Sure was. This is a cool season, guys. And whatever happens next Saturday at 3 p.m. Central at Tulane, I think people need to remember that. And this is not easy to do. And you can look at Memphis and see where they're sitting at right now and the teams they've lost to and all of that. And they haven't been able to, they didn't get over the hump and go to a conference championship. UTSA with all those vets who won the Conference USA title last year. SMU is undefeated in conference play, which is pretty incredible stuff. And they're going to be playing for an AAC championship game. A couple quick notes. SMU has 11 conference titles. A win would be their 12th. This is their first trip to the AAC title game and first conference championship game appearance since 2010, when yours truly was about 7th string on the depth chart. SMU's 8-0 conference play this season, 13-3 overall, under Rhett Lashley in AAC games. First 8-0 record in program history in conference play. I take that back. All right. 8th undefeated conference record in program history. First since 7-0-1 in 1982. So the other ones were all back in the 20s, 30s, 40s in terms of, perfect records over the course of the season, 5-0, 6-0, things like that. Some of them have had ties, but SMU, the first 8-0 record in conference play in program history. They'll take on Tulane, 3 p.m. Central on ABC. We'll be down there covering it for you guys at ontheponyexpress.com. So be sure to subscribe to On the Pony Express. We've had a bunch of people subscribe. We appreciate you guys jumping on board. And it has been an absolute blast covering this team. So more work to be done for the Mustangs. We'll be there to cover it for you guys the rest of the way. With that, hope you guys enjoyed the After Stangs show. We will catch you guys next week from New Orleans with another edition of the After Stangs show. Come check out Shug's Bagels before you go out to the soccer game if you're doing that. They're right here next to campus. And we will appreciate you guys that do that for them. So thanks for listening to this edition, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody.
Follow us on your socials on X at SMU_on3 and on Instagram at on3SMU.
And keep it locked to ontheponyexpress.com for more coverage.